Out of the gates and ready to go. Hot Mike with Hunter Withrow. All of a sudden, coaches are taking a stand against NIL.
They're back, baby.
Demanding, meeting demands of more money by agents in college football. We'll discuss, and Fran Brown taking a stand and not accepting a large NIL request. Ashton Jeanty, he's not going to accept the fact that teams are going to pass on him. His message to the NFL. And going to look at a big board. The
Hutton's big board.
The stand on the table instant impact players for the NFL draft, my top 10. All that and more straight ahead. While you're here, like, comment, and subscribe to the OutKick YouTube channel. Chad, the transfer portal has always been a cluster, right? More attention, I'm paying more attention to it now than ever, just based on the Nico factor. You know, how everything went down, the fact that Josh Heupel said, GTFO, we're not going to do it. You skip out on practice, and you know the demands, we're done here. And, you know, the reaction to that has been one of very favorable, and rightfully so, to Josh Heupel and the Tennessee program. They put up with a lot, though, if you believe every detail that's been put out there over the last week. And my guess is other programs are doing the same thing. But all it takes is about a week as the story is, as we unpack this, and you start to see more money and more raises for players who aren't even really in the portal yet. It's confusing, but also entertaining at the same time, because no one has a grasp on this, and it's every program for themselves. If you have the funds, great. If you don't, sorry. But right now you can say, we're not going to meet your demands. Well, I don't think many programs can do what Tennessee could have done, and that's actually meet demands of $4 million. I don't think programs like Tulane, that's being mentioned for Nico, could meet the Nico demand. And every coach right now can take a stand. Good for them. But those same coaches are trying to get better at quarterback by trying to get the quarterback to stand up and leave the program he's currently at. That's where we are. It's maddening, and it's college football. Like, I can't hate it. I can hate it, but I can't hate the coaches that are doing it. I respect the fact that some are saying no, like Fran Brown.
Yeah, it's a mix of having the funds available to pay players market value, or a little bit more if you value them more than others.
How bad you need the player, but yeah.
Need, for sure. It's also about paying the right guys and not paying the wrong guys. And the Nico situation just came one of, you're paying the wrong guy. The wrong situation. Maybe not, Nico might not be the wrong guy, but given the situation with Cordell Landers and his father running his camp and running his mouth and going to other schools behind their back and making all these demands about personnel and offense and everything else, and then more money, then the point of no return is when you no-show for practice and don't tell anyone. Then all of a sudden, okay, you got to go, right? Like they made the decision. The Nico camp made the decision very easy for Tennessee.
They were going to do it anyway.
Right. So Josh Heupel can take a stand and say, yeah, we're not going to negotiate. I'm not going to get on my knees and beg for you to come back to Knoxville and be the quarterback. We're going to move on and find some guys that want to compete, including the two guys on this team right now.
It's just difficult for me to just automatically say this has changed the landscape of how coaches are going to handle this, because it's just based on who the player is, and it's specifically the quarterbacks. You know, Nico is a good quarterback. Is he great? No. And at the level that Tennessee is playing, the expectations there for Heupel and the quarterback, I mean, it's not like DJ Lagway is playing in Knoxville. I think we'd see a different result. And if he wanted to leave Florida, Oregon would probably pay him instead of call and tell Billy Napier that his guy's out. I don't think it's just, it was the right thing to do for college football. It was the right thing to do for Tennessee's program. And keeping Nico around for $2.2 million or whatever was the right thing for putting up with whatever. They were willing to pay him that, but not $4 million or whatever the actual offer that he wanted the offer to be. They made the right call. I applaud the decision. I just can't stand and point and shout that it represents a new wave of change, because coaches right now are scared that they're losing their guy, and they're back channeling in case they do to get another quarterback off another roster that is going to end up being exactly the same in a position where you want a quick fix. And I don't know how you go about that right now. How do you offer a guy a couple million? I don't know what the number would be. But again, at Tennessee, they're expecting greatness. Not good, but great. If you're going to pay $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever the number is, how do you know you're getting that guy ready within 3-4 months? I mean, that is a huge decision.
There's no guarantee. You don't.
And that's why I couldn't do that. I would have to go with just my backup option. I couldn't just guarantee that I've got the quarterback that's coming in that just knows everything.
I think if you really are serious and true to form about, the team over the individual, and we want to protect the culture of this team, and we got a good thing going if you're Josh Heupel in this team.
Yeah.
I think you bring in a depth piece, someone who can compete for the starting job and play some, but not someone who's automatically making $2 million or $1.5 million to be the starter. And I think that's where Tennessee's eventually going to land. Could be proven wrong. Tonight they could sign some starter at another power school.
I see what you're saying.
And pay him a lot of money.
It'll be underwhelming on the news-breaking aspect, but it's going to be what the right decision.
The longer it goes, the more I think about it, Hutton, I keep thinking, go find, from a Tennessee standpoint, go find the Dalton Connect or Chaz Lanier of football. Go find a guy that's at an FCS school.
Yeah.
Go find a guy that's at a group of 5 that's been productive as a player that wants to make $1 million, and it would be a giant raise. Yeah. And give them a chance to come compete at Tennessee for Josh Heupel in the SEC. Go find that guy. You're not handing him the starting job. What you're offering him is, hey, we've seen your tape. We know what you can do. We know the offense you've run. You have a chance to start here. We have 2 good quarterbacks on campus, but you're going to have a chance to compete. What will it be worth to you? Okay, here's the NIL package, nowhere near what they're paying Nico. Bring that guy in to compete. You keep a good chemistry and culture on your team by doing that. Yep. And you don't risk any of these other things. It's just more and more like it's just a slimy feeling with some of these guys. And I think coaches are smart enough to know when you get that sense and that feeling that, there's money well spent and sometimes a lot of money on a player that's very well spent. Yeah. And other times it's just not worth it anymore.
See if you agree here. I trust that Heupel and his staff were prepared for this. Like, he was clearly tipped off about the back channeling that was going on. And then they figured out that he was going to bolt anyway. And I think whenever Nico or his camp entered the portal at this time of the offseason, hypothetically he would have participated in the spring game, whatever, and then entered the portal. He was just going to turn around and say the offense wasn't for him. I think that's what would have been the excuse. It's not one, I believe. But I also, in terms of the game-changing aspect of this story, Tennessee has been on the front line, the game-changing program for NIL. I mean, if you follow from 2021 to now, you can't write the story without mentioning the Volunteers, Spire Sports, all of that. It's hard for me to believe they were not prepared for this. My line of thinking is they're just waiting so they don't lose the other quarterbacks to the portal. Wait for the window to close, jump in, grab your guy that you've been talking to, because they're always ready for the next name, image, likeness, or paying player aspect. This would be the first time, and I would be very surprised by it, given the fact that many around the Tennessee program have been claiming over the last week that they've been hearing rumblings about this for months. If that's true, Tennessee's ready for this. This isn't like random offers to every quarterback across the country. This is floating names out there because you want to act like you're not tampering, even though everyone is. Do you buy that or not?
Yeah, I mean, I buy that they knew this was a possibility. I buy that Spire, the collective, was certainly involved in it the whole time,
and they would know
and aware of what was going on,
yeah.
And knew that it was a bit of a tenuous situation going back to pre-college football playoff,
yes,
where he had his demands, then right after where they were uncertain whether or not he's going to enter the portal, but then he didn't. So now he's at spring practice, so it must be okay, but there's always trepidation with events. That camp about something might happen.
And then they get word that he's They're back channeling, not him, but
yeah, they were ready for a contingency with him.
I just don't get the sense that they would be flat-footed.
If it was almost any other situation, I think Nico would get more defense from media over this situation. He's not getting a lot now,
right?
And nor should he, because again, just go back to the beginning. Nico is a unique situation. He is a kid from Los Angeles that is of Polynesian descent that has no ties to University of Tennessee football. Tennessee came in with a strong-ass offer, and they made it to him because Josh Heupel said, this dude has unbelievable traits to be a quarterback in my offense, and he will set us up to possibly win a national championship. Got the collective to work. They went out to L.A. They bagged the guy for over $2 million a year. It was a record-setting deal in the NIL space, and Tennessee and Knoxville, Tennessee, which is NIL capital of this country, set the standard for big-time five-star quarterback deals in college football. But they brought a guy in from L.A. that had no ties to Knoxville, that for all I know doesn't care at all about East Tennessee, doesn't care at all about Tennessee fans, doesn't really care at all about Tennessee football. He's a mercenary. And I think his dad has set him up to be a mercenary. He is a gun for hire. But the understanding was this is a multi-year commitment. We're going to pay you $2 million to sit the bench in year one behind Joe Milton. Then you'll get your shot, and then you'll start a second year, and then you'll go pro. That's the plan all along. It was a 3-year contract for that reason. He was going to sit, he was going to play, he was going to play, he was going to go get drafted. That's what he was going to do. So for him to take that money and to sign that contract and to be involved with Tennessee to that level, and then for Tennessee to go to bat for him, and the Attorney General of Tennessee to go to bat for him, the fact that it's Nico that then pulls this bullshit where he's like, I'm going to use my leverage now after spring practice in his camp, he's not going to get much defense, and he shouldn't in this whole situation.
Well, okay.
And he made the decision very easy for Josh Heupel.
Let me add in. I don't. So there, Adam Sparks, who covers Tennessee for Gannett, he says that Nico was actually very loose and very growing into the role this spring because the dad wasn't around like he's been, and then he got back involved and shit hit the fan. I don't know. I don't pretend to know the dynamic here because everything's been kept very hush-hush, even though insiders will tell you that they've heard whispers about this anyway. I don't know. I do know that the dad screwed this up because he would be getting more defense in the media had the dad not called Nakos a bitch. That's what set off the sentiment because everybody in the media defended Nakos. It wasn't Tennessee against Nico. It was Nakos. It was on 3 against Nico and his dad. So that set the tone for good guy, bad guy. And then from there, you've got coaches and former players and Herb Street and, everybody saying this is taking a stand against name, image, likeness. Well, I guess, but had the player been great, we would never really heard about this. And that's the unfortunate part because this is going on where the players are getting raises now because of Nico leaving and Tennessee calling. I mean, that's just because the teams need their guy because it's the best possibility for them right now, given where we are in the timeline of the offseason. I think it was just the dad that screwed up the whole plan.
And I don't think they're taking a stand against name, image, likeness. I think they're taking a stand against Nico and his people. Well, in that situation,
that's the business of NIL is what they're doing. Taking a stand
Nico and his camp to tell Colin Cowherd it's not about the money, it's about the offense. And it doesn't track. It doesn't make any sense.
And it sounds like a guy reporting that who doesn't watch Tennessee.
I mean, I would get that also if like Nico signed up for one coach and then they fired an offensive coordinator and brought a new one. It's a completely different offense, and he didn't sign. He knows what he signed up to play for, and now it keeps changing. Like I see these other reports that not the offensive production or the stats. He wants to get more ready for the NFL, and Josh Heupel does a terrible job getting quarterbacks ready for the NFL. And I'm thinking, he got a guy who couldn't start at Virginia Tech drafted. He got a guy who couldn't start at Michigan drafted, who then got traded to be a backup to the Dallas Cowboys. Like none of this makes sense to go to a first-time offensive coordinator in Tito Sunseri at UCLA. It doesn't track at all.
Tito Sunseri has 3 straight years of transfer portal quarterbacks that he's done very well with.
He's been a part of, but he's not the play caller.
Not the play
in Indiana.
caller.
Yeah.
That's way different.
Right.
This is just them throwing out BS.
Yeah, from a
year
football
from now,
standpoint, it makes
Nico's
no
not going to be at
sense.
UCLA a year from now. He's going to be in the portal again.
Yeah, I mean, his plan, again, at Tennessee, it was just very simple. Just keep your head down, be a good teammate, a good leader, learn the offense, get on the same page with the wide receivers, have a good year. Have a better year than last year statistically.
Yes.
Keep Tennessee relevant in the national conversation, and go get drafted. It was that simple.
They went to the playoff with him as just
make $2.5 million and then go get drafted. That's what was in front of him, and they wrecked it. They completely screwed themselves out of it.
They did.
Fran Brown's another guy who's taking a stand.
Fran Brown not giving in to NIL demands from a wide receiver. This is a bit different because it's a wide receiver. I think it's the quarterback portal and everyone else in terms of demands. But you got to go, is what Fran Brown is saying. I love the attitude, the sentiment here, where he's in a tough spot like a lot of coaches right now. But he goes, what I'll tell you is this: we paid him enough.
We've got the audio.
Oh, we do have the audio.
Yeah,
now.
we do have it. Yeah.
All right, here's Fran Brown.
With all due respect to everybody in the country, to every wide receiver, to everybody that's doing all this stuff, like, if you want to make $2 million at wide receiver, that's to blow a homie over at Ohio State. Ain't nobody else making that money. Giving no wide receiver no $2 million, man, in college. Nah, that ain't me. I ain't doing that. I can't do it. Unless they tell me that we get a chance to have Travis Hunter, he could come back to college and he could come here and play for us, then he going to get some of my check. But I ain't paying nobody $2,000 this year. Not to me. $2 million, whatever. I just say, yeah, we ain't giving nobody that.
So, I love
the honesty. Trevor Pena.
So that's
$2 million?
Hughes Sports Talk. Let me add in. This is the same university that had a billionaire wanting to fund NIL, and they said no, thank you. Bringing the Tom Brady and everyone around. They can't do the $2 million because they don't have it in NIL. No. He's telling players you got to go if you're not. We're not going to give in to your NIL demands. I mean, I bet he wishes they could. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Trevor Pena had 84 receptions for 941 yards and 9 touchdowns a year ago. So, I mean, very productive.
I've seen
for Syracuse, but it's not. This isn't like a guy on the top of my mind in college football, and asking $2 million is a big ask to get that. I think Fran Brown getting as specific he did. You can't be too honest.
Yeah, well,
I like the honesty with Fran Brown, but I think you can get too much into the weeds and into the details of things when you're talking to the media. And I think you probably did that.
You get where I'm coming from here, like Tulane, Syracuse. Like, let's slow our roll on these coaches, like telling players that we're not going to meet your demands. It's because they can't. I mean, not everyone can pay at this level. That's because of the haves and the have-nots. That's why it's unfair.
Yeah, but also I don't know a single team that's going to pay him $2 million.
No, I don't know that.
For a wide receiver.
Well,
for a quarterback, yes.
In the quarterback portal, it's different. I'm just saying from this angle, it's ludicrous, but it's also like you couldn't pay that.
Tyler, is Carnell Tate making $2 million?
Am I wrong?
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you think he's making $2 million?
What's Jeremiah Smith making?
I mean, he says no.
All those guys.
He references Carnell Tate in that he's like the guy at Ohio State maybe is making $2 million.
Is that Tate
is
that Tate or Smith? He's Smith.
Sorry, Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith making $2 million, north of $2 million.
Absolutely is. He's got to be right.
Yeah, and Ohio State can afford it, and that's the right type of guy. Like by all accounts,
I mean
that guy came in as a freshman and was unbelievable.
That's my point, Chad. Right there. If Jeremiah Smith went to Ohio State and said, "I want more," he'd get it. That's what Nico. It's taking a stand against good players, not great players.
Do you think Josh Heupel's thinking, can Pena play quarterback?
Oh my God,
we've got exactly $2 million laying around. If you can come in and start, man, you could get this done.
Chad, we were talking about this new.
I love how Fran Brown also prayed on it and woke up and decided he wasn't going to pay him the $2 million. He says in here, I just said, "Yo, you got to go." I prayed on it that night. And I kept going through things, and it was like, why would I try to – I like this part of it. Why would I try to convince somebody to be somewhere when I know the offense works? Because at Baylor, there was a lot of success with these receivers that all went to the NFL. There was success at other places. I was just like, now I have to tell him he needs to go.
I mean, I like how he vents. This is a great.
I love
way.
though that he prayed on. It's like, yeah, we don't have the $2 million. I'm gonna have to tell you to go.
Yeah, I mean, is this like he was considering giving part of his salary to the player? He prayed on it. He was like, no, you got to go. I got to keep this. I don't know. I'm just.
I do wonder how much can coaches negatively affect a player's market value by trash talking them, openly. Like, that is one thing to keep in mind, like, in terms of hands you could play. Like, there's no level of if Jeremiah Smith entered the transfer portal, there's no level of trash talk that Ryan Day could say publicly that would stop someone from paying him.
Yeah.
But for a player like Pena, if he's throwing out there that this guy's asking for $2 million and that's ridiculous, does that hurt him in the open market? Like, this guy's a diva. He doesn't understand his own value. Does that hurt him with other schools? I
don't view this as the player making these demands. These are we're throwing out the word agent way too flippantly here too. Like the handlers in the NFL, you have to be approved by the NFL Players Association as an agent to then represent players within the league. There's who knows who these guys are. They may not know anything other than we're going to go in and demand it because we saw a wide receiver somewhere making this money. I don't know. And
I read where a receiver in the NFL makes $2 million. I too should make $2 million.
They convinced the family that they were going to get more money for the player. We need regulation on that too. Unfortunately, they could sue the NCAA and win.
But let's not regulate Fran Brown from press conferences and interviews. That let's mark it down right here, guys. That is someone I'd love to interview. I'd love to have on this show because that dude will say whatever the hell is on his mind. I'd love to get him going on NIL and guys asking for too much money. And they open the season, by the way, with the Tennessee Vols, then Josh Heupel. So the two guys now at the forefront of, hey, take no money and walk, we don't want you, are going to go head-to-head in Atlanta in the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic.
It does make me...
Maybe got the sponsor in on that one.
Well done.
Yeah.
It makes me feel even better about players like Drake May. Who had the money and didn't take it. Yeah. Like that.
Now, they got paid a lot from North Carolina to stay,
yeah,
too.
But the reports, I don't know the reports.
He could have made more to go elsewhere.
Yeah. And it's craziness right now. This is not the only big news across college football. There's actually a rule in place now, Chad. Regulation can be done for rules on the field for faking injuries. We've been discussing the need for this for several seasons. Many are calling this the Kiffin rule. And now it could be a 5-yard penalty, and it could cost a timeout, potentially. And it's based on, help me with this, if the ball is spotted in play.
I've got the exact wording. So, Hutton, when did I know this was going to be a thing? Like, if you remember, when did I start talking about this is now going to be an NCAA rule, and it's going to change?
It was the week of Ole Miss, Tennessee, was it not?
No. It was this year because finally – Kirk Herbstreit and others started bashing it.
Yeah, ESPN hates it.
And I'm thinking when ESPN and College Game Day and Herbstreit have been given the green light from Greg Sankey and the SEC to openly mock players that fake injuries. I remember the Tennessee-NC State game early in the year. Herbstreit going off about it. Tennessee-Oklahoma early in the year. Herbstreit going off about it. College Game Day guys talking about it. I said when it is now okay, it's acceptable for these ESPN guys who are in bed with the SEC to talk about how bad it makes the sport look. When coaches ask guys to take a dive, I was like, something's going to happen, and it did. So under the new rule, if medical personnel is forced to enter the field of play to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If that team does not have any remaining timeouts, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. Okay, great. That's a nice step in the right direction. Not going to stop a team from just giving the signal quicker and as soon as the ball is tackled or on the sideline, taking a dive to stop the play.
Now we're going to go to the instant replay to see when the dive took place?
I hope not. I hope that is completely a ref's judgment call. Gosh. And honestly, if it's in the process of being spotted, I'm up for the ref's discretion on it. If he thinks they're faking, call the penalty and roll with it. Because I don't want any more.
We're putting more on the ref. Again, the refs also try to get set up because it's a fast-paced offense in theory. In a 2-minute drill or a crucial down and distance, I bet we'll go to instant replay.
It's going to require every official to know exactly where the ball is and when it's spotted. Because what's going to happen is
you have to see the field too.
The guy who's setting the ball, right, is going to, and now the back judge has got the DB who's down. He's going to have to be blowing the whistle, calling for him. They're going to have to sync up to know when he fell, right, to make sure it happened right after the play. Look, I think coaches that really want to do this are just going to get better about sending them down quickly and not doing that elongated look to the sideline, waiting on someone to give them the signal.
That's a good point.
And then taking a dive right before the ball snap.
You know who will know this is Connor Stallions. He would figure out a way.
Yeah, they're still going to be able to do it.
What also it doesn't do? I'm glad there's a penalty in place.
It doesn't stop a team from doing things like having someone injured on the extra point after the play happens to get longer time.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is
what you do.
A common practice by one team. Yeah. Also, if you score quickly.
Tennessee likes doing that. But good.
I mean, by the end of the year, announcers were calling Tennessee out for that because that's what they do. Well, guys are taking a dive on the offensive line after quick touchdowns.
This strengthens your argument. Or not your point.
This will not penalize them for doing that.
I know.
Because it's after the play.
Well, not just that. It's during a commercial break.
Yeah, and
sometimes.
It elongates the commercial break.
But ESPN's not going to complain about that if they can show a 30-second ad. You know? Because there's not going to be – they're breaking up the drama of the game if you're Ole Miss defense. I guess is what – you know what I mean? You're lengthening the game because you're not going to take a break. It's just a quick – you don't know how long the injury is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, coaches need to take a stand here, too. We've been saying that. They won't.
No.
Sometimes it may be worth a 5-yard penalty. If I'm out of timeouts, it's worth 5 yards to stop the game. That's lenient to me, that part, if I'm out of timeouts. You agree? 5 yards versus the rest that you want.
Maybe. I
think substitution.
My idea for the penalty for it would be the guy has to leave the game for a certain amount of snaps.
I like that. Like 3 plays.
I think if you stop the game for any reason, you are out for 3 snaps. And then if it's like a second time, it's 5, or the rest of the series. You get, if there's 2 on one series, then automatically that second player cannot return in that series, however long that series goes.
Up for that.
So you're basically eliminating. It's like a penalty box. Guys are in an injury box. And then they have a 3-play count or a 5-play count or a series before they're allowed to go back in. Because then you're not going to start taking your starters out of the game, right, by doing that every time.
We've got Armando coming up. I want to, before that, Aaron Rodgers. It's been a busy day, man. Aaron Rodgers speaking to Pat McAfee. He's back on the McAfee show about playing and whether or not he wants to. But before they got into that specific topic, it was about the Jets because the reports were that Aaron Rodgers wanted to stay with the New York Jets. Well, there's a new Aaron in town, and it's the head coach, Aaron Glenn.
I figured that when I flew across country on my own dime, that there was going to be a conversation. And the confusing thing to me and the strange thing was, when I went out there, I meet with the coach. We start talking. He runs out of the room. I'm like, that's kind of strange. I was like, then he comes back with the GM. And I'm like, all right. So we sit down in the office. And I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country. And 20 seconds in, he goes, literally, I'm talking to the GM about something, and he leans to the edge of his seat and goes, so do you want to play football? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, we're going a different direction at quarterback.
That was determined by the owner. Just knowing some of the questions that were asked during general manager interviewing for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers was going to be the quarterback. Now, they hadn't hired Aaron Glenn yet, but they kind of had a plan, and they didn't want Rodgers based on everything that went down. A terrible season last year. He had good stats, but also flying across country to go meet with the team that you want to play for is not that big of a detriment to me. And I wouldn't be – that's weird for me to think that I flew across country and I'm here. You're going to tell me that
I'm not the quarterback?
I'm not the quarterback?
I will say it was good I thought at the time, man, it was good of him. That gave us an indication that he wants to play. that he even
Right.
agreed
Well,
to do it.
so-
He's
Man.
motivated to some extent that he actually made the flight.
Did he want to play or did he know that he wasn't going to be the quarterback? I say that because if he wants to play, go play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let them know before they enter the draft next week, a week from today, that you're their quarterback. You're going to be on the roster. Instead, the quote to McAfee today is, "I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. Retirement could be a possibility." What? No decision. I'm open to anything, attached to nothing. Retirement could still be a possibility. So if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you just make a move for Shedeur? Do you wait on Jackson Dart at 20? What do you do at 21? That's where they're selecting. And they have Rodgers, who I guess is waiting to see what the Steelers do at quarterback, the same way that Kirk Cousins is waiting to see what other teams do at quarterback. He doesn't want to repeat what just happened to him last year, where he joins and then a team goes ahead and drafts. I don't know what I would do here in Pittsburgh. You got Mason Rudolph, and you don't want to give up further draft capital, future draft picks for Shedeur. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want. That's a huge jump up to a top 10 if you want to assure that you're going to get that guy. And Jackson Dart, I mean, again, we're talking about 4 players in the draft throughout the entire process. And Dart's not really one of them. He could be a surprise, but it's out of need and necessity more than anything.
I think it's Jalen Milroe. I mean,
at Pittsburgh?
Yeah, if you're not.
And he's going to the draft.
If you have not gotten an answer from Aaron Rodgers that you feel comfortable with.
Good point. Okay.
By the draft, where it's like, hey, dude, we doing this or not? And if he's still wishy-washy and hasn't confirmed anything, I'm drafting Jalen Milroe and sitting tight.
At 21?
Where they are. At 21.
Well, he is going to the draft. You wouldn't go to the draft unless you think you're a first-round pick.
Or I mean, I don't know what their big board of quarterbacks looks like. Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. Tyler Shook's the guy who keeps getting all this talk. I don't understand why.
The Giants are spending time with him.
I don't get it. But
yeah, man, it's crazy. I know for a fact that I would be drafting Ashton Jeanty if I had the opportunity.
No doubt.
Chad, he's tiny. I get it. For NFL standards and NFL running backs, he's no Derrick Henry.
He's short.
But man,
I wouldn't call him tiny, but he's definitely shorter than a lot of guys.
Short.
5'9".
I think, is he shorter than that? Or is it Scatterbo that's 5'8", 5'7"?
I think he was listed at 5'9", which probably means he's like 5'7".
Here's what I know, though.
Right.
I guess.
The way they measure in college to the NFL.
Dude's a baller. He's an alpha. Look at this is through 10 weeks last year. Through 10 games. I know a lot are comparing. This is at Boise, not Alabama. I get that. That's fair.
Jeanty, by the way, listed at 5'9". Scatterbo, 5'11".
Okay.
Barry Sanders was 5'8".
Well,
So he's an inch taller than Barry Sanders.
I hear a lot of people saying something about his frame. Draft this guy. Straight. I mean, he's a superstar. And the letter that he wrote, the open letter to NFL teams, I like this approach right here. This is saying, do you want me? Trade up and come get me. Is more or less what.
You want to win?
You want to win. This is tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I draft a guy they can't tackle.
Also comparing it to Saquon and the Eagles, what they did by being led by a running back. Right? What we're going to do together is exactly what Saquon and the Eagles just did. Coming to win big soon.
Everyone has been discussing the Raiders at 6. There's so much smoke there. It's almost kind of a fake storyline. Like they're just throwing that out there to try to get other teams confused about what the Raiders are going to do. It feels that way. It's so obvious it's not going to happen, that it won't happen because it's so obvious. Who did you say was always mocked to Jacksonville? Was it Mason Graham?
Mason Graham. Every mock I look at, it's Mason Graham to Jacksonville.
That new leadership team in Jacksonville, and the McShay offense and the Shanahan offense, Jeanty would fit that type of system for the new head coach.
That would be the highest I've seen him go.
Well, one pick ahead.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Jacksonville mocked him. And, the guy's a baller. Get Trevor Lawrence some help. There you go.
Yep.
Jeanty.
I love it.
Coming up,
I don't like, by the way, a quick mention of Lee Corso.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Corso retiring from College Game Day after 38 seasons. He's going to retire after the Week 1 Game Day show. This is the right thing to do. It's been that way for a while.
I agree.
Still going to miss the guy a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely time. But, man, what an integral part of the college football scene for years and years with Lee Corso and the headgear selection and everything else that goes with it.
The institution of College Game Day, like it's part of the pageantry of the sport is College Game Day. If you land the show and you got Corso and Fowler and Herbstreit on set, setting up like in the late '90s, that was the jam. And but Chad, you're right. I mean, let's just shoot straight here. He's health-wise, it was getting bad on set. What I hope for he and his family is they get some time together before anything worse happens. Because a lot of times the old coaches, when they get out of the ball, they feel like their life's work's done. They coach and they do something forever, and then they're not there. And how often was he just staying in Florida? Anyway, a
lot. I mean, anytime they traveled a long distance, he did not make the trip.
I am kind of surprised.
I want to say he was probably like half the games this year.
They did the Indiana tribute, which was good last season.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic move by the Hoosiers program. That was legit, and they had a great year. Tied it back in. The timing's right. I am kind of surprised that they just didn't keep the format the way it does.
Well, there's a lot of people talking about his replacement, who his replacement should be. I don't think you replace him. I think they're fine on that show.
There's no need to.
Not replacing him.
There's no need to.
Just give more time to Nick Saban to talk and Pat McAfee, and it's going to be fine.
He would be replaced if McAfee decided last year that he didn't want to come back and do game day.
Yeah, and now what you have is McAfee will do the crazy, outlandish, like he always does, pick. At the end of it, and sort of that will be the big moment at the end.
Yeah.
He'll pick last the way Corso would pick last with the headgear selection, right? That's really the one swap, but I don't think they need to add anybody.
Totally agree. There's too many talking heads on the set.
They got plenty.
Yeah. Go to the Bear. We could go to
the Bears at Fox now.
They got
Stanford Steve.
That's right.
That's the guy they have now.
Stanford Steve is just consistent. I don't think about it that often. No offense, Steve. But when he's on, he's entertaining.
I like when they go to him.
Me too. And I can't even tell you who's in the crowd now.
Yeah, and I think the girl that was the Peloton instructor.
Is that her?
That's good. Yeah, she's.
She
became famous because she had so many followers on Peloton.
Yeah, okay. Put her on a Peloton.
Gosh, what is her name?
That's the one thing that has changed is I see when you say go to the crowd, I'm thinking more McAfee out there than anyone.
Jess Sims.
There you go. That's it.
Jess Sims, who was on Peloton, who women in media that are all over the guy for the Braves would be so pissed off. Like she would never work again if some guy asked for her number or she asked for a guy's number. Come on.